Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us today. You guys are in for a treat. And I know there's a lot of you out there who have children that go home at the end of the summer term and they don't do any reading until they get back to school in September. And I feel a lot of frustration from you guys in terms of how far the children have fallen back. Well, this session is for you. So if you are a school who are looking to help children continue their reading journey all the way through the summer holiday, and not only that, but just enjoy the reading process, these guys are going to be your people today. So I'm really pleased to invite you to listen to Kim and Vicki from Fonetti, and they are coming to talk to you about the Read Aloud Challenge 2025. Their work is superb. I'm not going to talk any more. I'm going to hand straight over to Kim. Kim, did you want to introduce yourself before you get started?
Hello, everybody. Lovely to meet you all. I'm Kim Antoniou, and I am one of the co-founders of the National Read-Aloud Challenge. I'm also the founder and CEO of Oristech, which are the technology that's created Fonetti, the Read-Aloud app, which you're going to hear about a little bit further along. And Vicki, who will introduce herself properly when we come to it, is my colleague. Who we work together. She's actually my daughter as well. She works in the business and has done. We've worked together, and you'll hear a little bit about sort of the backstory, if you like, and why we kind of created this in the first place as we go along. But so really lovely to see you all, and be particularly honoured to be a part of a head teacher chat sort of community webinar, because we're great supporters and we're very grateful for the support that we get from Head Teacher Chat. So thank you, Lucy and Jonathan, for that.
That's right. It's a pleasure. And Kim, before I carry on, please, if you have questions, anybody, this is your time to ask. I know it's a busy week. You've probably got 1,000,001 questions to ask to get this set up before the end of term. So please do feel free to put your questions in the chat. Myself, Kim and Vicki will do our best to answer them. If you don't think of a question until after the session has ended, no worries. You can put it in the comments underneath, and Jonathan and I will pass it on to Kim and Vicki if we don't know the answer ourselves. Should we introduce Vicki before we get started too? Go on, Vicki.
Thank you very much. Yes, so I'm Vicki Edgar. As Kim mentioned, I am co-founder of the National Read-Aloud Challenge. I am also the head of education for Fonetti, which, as Kim mentioned, is what supports and holds the National Read-Aloud Challenge. And I'm very, very excited to share with you what the challenge is and how your schools can get involved after Kim's gone through it a little bit more.
Thank you so much. And you guys grab a pen and paper and pencil, because Vicki and Kim are going to tell you all about the challenge. And importantly, they're also going to tell you how to take part, how to register, and also what kind of things you can download, assemblies, letters to parents. So grab your pen and paper, because you'll need to remember where to find it, because I know this week is really busy for you. So let's see if we can all help each other. So again, if you've got any questions, put them in the chat. I'm going to hand straight over to Kim and Vicki. Enjoy. Thank you so much.
Thank you. So basically, why did we start the National Read-Aloud Challenge? In a nutshell, we've created a really unique voice technology. It's an automatic speech recognition that listens to children as they read aloud, and then gives a child a completely seamless sort of reading experience. But in the background, all of the fabulous reading data is fed back to teachers and parents to help the children. But we launched the platform about 3 years ago, and then realised that when you've got something as different as this, and to a large degree our competitor is the teaching assistant or almost do nothing, we've figured that we've got this really creative and clever and unique technology, but unless you have evidence, then it's unlikely that it's going to get into the hands of schools and teachers and parents. So one of the ways that we originally decided to do that was by giving our platform for free for the whole of the summer, which is why we launched the National Read-Aloud Challenge. But I have to say, we're in our third year now, and our mission is very much so very far away now from that sort of that original let's just get the evidence, because I think we've actually got that in drones. It's more about the whole whole mission for us to sort of help with the summer reading regression, which is obviously a massive problem. And I think, we all know that 27% of kids all leave primary school, unable to read to the required level. And that we also know that there's a massive correlation between reading engagement, reading enjoyment, and reading improvement. And after we started to gain the data, we realised that we have got a platform that actually does all of that. So moving on, again, we've just spoken about that. One of the reasons why it's so important, because of reading regression. And as we know, in the summer, it's not traditionally a time when children are massively motivated to read. So how can we change that? What can we do that's different? And how is Fonetti different? So basically what happens is children go onto the Fonetti app and they read aloud. As they read aloud, the words change colour when they get them right, and then they go grey if they miss or skip a word. But as I've said, the child gets a really kind of gamified experience because it's reading, it's on technology. But from their point of view, there's nothing sort of there to interfere with their drive. They're motivated to do more because they can see the words changing colour on screen at that, as I say, in real time. To give you a sense of that, I've actually, if I can just go here, this is a very small clip of a child reading on Fonetti.
Did you know every year the total household waste for the UK is about 31 million tonnes? That's around half a tonne of waste for a single person here. So the big question is, what can we do with our half a tonne? What can we do? We can reduce, reuse, recycle. We can all make changes to our lives. We should reduce the amount of waste we throw away. We should try to reuse things as much as possible, like shopping bags, water bottles, etc. 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 And the waste we do produce, we should try to recycle. Up to 60% of all waste that ends up in the bin can be recycled.
As you can see, it kind of goes along with the child, and children just love it because, as I say, it uses sort of gamification and technology and so on. But most importantly, it encourages and it engages children, and that creates more of a love for reading. So what do children need to do to take part? They need to read as many books on the Fonetti platform. So we basically give free access from the 1st of July to the 31st of August. And they basically, Vicki will show you in a moment how that all happens, but basically schools sign up, you get presented with a personalised URL with customised assets that have got your school logo, your school name on, and that is then shared with parents. Parents then just get their children, they register their children, and all of the children that are associated with your school all kind of go together. So all of their reading aggregates together to become part of your school's reading. There are individual prizes for children supported by Go Henry. So children can either, they kind of compete as children, as individual independent children, but also, as I say, that aggregate data goes towards their school. Lots and lots of books available. There's just under 1,000 books available in the platform, a mixture of kind of fiction, non-fiction, poetry, curriculum-based books, and then there's some texts for older children. And there's content in there with an interest level from sort of like the 5 to 15-year-olds, with quite a big emphasis on sort of high-low for the older readers, where they've got a high interest level but lower reading abilities. Absolutely brilliant where EAL exists. And particularly where SEND exists, dyslexia, because the platform actually reads at the same pace that the child does. So how do the leaderboards work? So as I say, children just read as much as they can. They're motivated by certificates and stars, and of course leaderboards. Every child loves a leaderboard. And they're individual reading, so they have to do a certain amount of reading before they get onto the leaderboard. And we'll tell you in a little while where we are at the moment in terms of the children that have worked or sort of participated in the challenge since the 1st of July. What's in it for schools? So basically, there are a few things. So at the end of the challenge, you will get an impact report. You'll get a report that shows you which children have participated, and it's all ranked in the same state as the leaderboard. So you'll get a list of all the children, how many books they've read, how many minutes they read, benchmarking, accuracy, and lots of other really rich reading data to see how the children have performed over the summer. You'll be invited as well at the end of it to actually have access to the school portal. So inside school, we have the Fonetti school portal, which allows for all of this data. So basically, schools will go on, they will set up their classes, they will allocate books to either a whole class or individual children, and the app works in exactly the same way as it does for the basic Fonetti app. But again, in the background, all the teachers get all of this really rich reading data, like accuracy, words per minute, benchmarking. You can see who's been reading, and obviously, most importantly, who hasn't, and all of the improvement data. And so what we do is at the end of the challenge, so all schools are welcome to have access to the Fonetti school portal to be able to continue that reading journey in school if they would like to. It's all 100% free, I hasten to add. But top performing schools for each region, because as I've said, all of the data gets collated to the schools. And the winning schools and the runner-up school from every region is invited to an award ceremony. So basically, that is held at Amazon HQ in the middle of January, on the 15th of January next year. And it's a wonderful day, and it's an all expenses paid day for 2 teachers and the top performing children, as I say, from the winning school and the runner-up school. Come to London, come to Amazon HQ. There's a lunch, there's author book readings in their amphitheatre. Then there's a lovely awards ceremony, and then afternoon tea. And just to top it all, we send all the children home with lots of pick and mix, which really does cheer the teachers up. In fact, actually, I think the teachers usually go more for the pick and mix than the children. As I've said, the awards ceremony is a really lovely day, and it's hosted by our wonderful Claire Balding, who is our brand ambassador. Absolutely wonderful. The kids, as I say, have an absolutely fabulous day. They also get tours of Amazon HQ, which is obviously a big exciting thing for them to do. Vicky's going to talk to you a little bit about the promotional material, but there are all kinds of things: posters, there are assembly packs, and there are messaging and social to send out to parents. Oh, just one new thing this year. As I say, we're in our 3rd year. This year, we're actually just announcing that Essex County Council, if any of your schools are in Essex, are actually supporting this as part of their year of opportunity. And as a result, we are being, and this is breaking news actually, we are being run across the whole of Essex alongside the traditional summer reading challenge, which is a massive milestone for us because that gives us a huge amount of credibility. But the difference with our challenge and the Summer Reading Challenge, which obviously has been going for 20 years and highly respected and useful, is that all of the rich reading data, we've actually got this actionable reading data, which helps to inform. To give you a sense of what we've done in the last 2 years, we have had 476 active schools. We've supported 14,000 children. We've had 265,000 reading sessions. And we've had well over 1 million reading minutes. And you can see there from this graph here that the split is slightly more towards the girls than the boys. And then you've got your age group split there as well. And you can see this map shows you just a bit of a visual map of where schools from the last 2 years have participated.
Me.
Oh.
Has
Sorry, I should have just said this before I played that. Sorry. So this is a little lad called Arlen who took part in last year's National Read-Aloud Challenge. He was 6 years old when he took part in the challenge. And what you're going to hear is you're going to hear his first read, and then 8 weeks later, after 14 hours of reading over the summer period. So that shows his engagement. He earned 408 stars, but then you're going to hear his last reading.
Has a cup full of Max wanted a drink. He looked for water. Max spots a jug. The jug holds water.
As you can see, that was pretty remarkable. And I remember post-challenge, I had a word with Arlen's mum, Emma, and she said that we had turned an absolutely disenchanted 6-year-old, disenchanted reader into a prolific reader. And actually, she said to me, I've got to tell you, Kim, it's costed me a fortune in books. And for me, that's like amazing. You know, that just goes to show that our job is working. What we're doing is working. It's making a difference. So, where are we now? We are, on the 14th of July, and so far it's kicked off incredibly well. So to give you a sense of it, last year in the challenge, we hit 226 hours of reading on one day of the challenge, which was mid-challenge. We went live on the 1st of July. We had 224 hours of reading on day one, 266 on day two. Over on Friday last week, we peaked at 300, just over 300 reading hours. This shows the engagement. This is showing how much children are loving that. Now, that is currently supporting 5,000 readers, and we're on a mission to get to 50,000 readers this year. We've already had 35,000 reading sessions, and I have to say this data is only up to day 10, so this is up to the 10th of July, and we've had over 250,000 reading minutes. We've awarded over 68,000 certificates, and it just goes to show, again, this engagement. And you can see there the rough split, so in terms of around the country, because at the end of the challenge, we wrote a white paper last year, which actually I think, Lucy, we can put maybe the link into the chat afterwards. We wrote a white paper that actually shows the benefits of using assisted technology to help support reading improvement. At the end of the day, we've got all this data that shows the difference, for example, between 6 to 8 year old boys in Newcastle compared to 6 to 8 year old boys in North London. And that, again, we're going to be sharing that data post-challenge at the end of this year. And that's for everybody's sake. That's for all the charities, the reading agencies, the government, anybody that can use this really impactful and important data is why we put that white paper together. I think it's really important for all of us. I mean, the one thing that we all want is children to engage and love reading and improve their reading. So, there's no point having this really rich reading data and then not sharing it with the right people. As you have gathered, I can talk for England. So I'm actually just going to leave you now with a word from our brand ambassador. Claire Balding has always said to me, when I first met her, when I was introduced to her sort of 5 or 6 years ago, when she got to know about our technology, our company, and she said to me that she always wanted to be involved in a technology that's got the ability to change the world. And I love the fact that she, 6 years on, is still a great advocate and our brand ambassador. So there's a QR code here, but I know that this is all going to be distributed, and that QR code is in the link as well. So if you want to join just simply scan the QR code, or I think the link is going to be in the chat as well. And that's us. Forgive me. Firstly, I've had a really bad cough and sore throat, so I'm a little bit croaky. So forgive me for that if I stumbled a little bit along the way.
That was superb. Thank you so much, Kim. We've actually had a few questions whilst you were chatting. The first one was, how easy is it for schools to take part? And I think, Vicki, you're going to explain that in a minute, aren't you? Which is great.
Yes.
Another question coming through is, how much does it cost? Well, good news, Kim, isn't it?
Yeah. So the challenge is 100% free and will always be 100% free. When I came up with the idea 3 years ago, and I said to my shareholders and my board, I'm going to give our platform away for free every year, I must admit I had a few strange faces. But you get to a point. I've been in business my whole life, and I was lucky enough to sell a business a couple of years ago, which allowed me to put some significant money into the business to be able to do this. And I think that it is our legacy. I mean, reading is the foundation of all knowledge. It's the foundation of all learning, forgive me. And so I think if there's something that we can do, so yeah, it's free and it will always be free. There is obviously at the end you get free access to the Fonetti school portal as well. Obviously, we do have a school platform that is sold into schools, but you'll see when you get to know us, and Lucy and Jonathan, you've known us now for a few years. From our point of view, there are no catches whatsoever. And so, yeah, it's free.
Super. Well done, you guys. That's incredible. And then we've just had another question from Sophie. How are the privacy and data protection? So there's a lot of concern about GDPR with pupils' information, etc. Do you have what sort of safeguards do you have in place?
Well, one of my shareholders and our directors is a renowned head, sort of expert in data protection and cybersecurity.
Oh,
and I have to say, he becomes a bit of a bane of my life when I say, "Can I do this?" And he says, "No." So I can tell you, all of our services are held in the UK. All of our data is held in the UK. We use Amazon Web Services, and our data protection and compliance is, it's right up there. I mean, you're absolutely right. It's critical.
Yeah,
you protect this stuff. So in terms of the recordings, for example, parents have the opportunity to opt in or not for us to actually save. All of the data from the recordings is saved throughout, because we obviously need that to help train the model and have all of our learnings. But they can opt in for us to be able to have that data, which isn't shared with anybody, but it does allow us to give you examples like with Arlen back there. But again, we've got the express permission of the parents and the family. And by the way, that isn't a picture of the real Arlen.
Oh, well done, you guys.
But I've seen the real Arlen, and he's every bit as cute.
Oh, we've got another question come in. So from Wayne. Morning, Wayne. Thank you, Sophie, by the way, for your questions. How do you get hard to reach parents to get involved in the project? Oh, that's a great question, because actually, it's really tough to kind of communicate to all parents, especially at this time of year. Everybody's so busy, everyone's working. How can we get those hard to reach parents? I suppose, Vicki, you're going to show us that in the next section, aren't you? So we'll let Vicki do her bit. Kim and I will come off and let Vicki show her screen. I'll just add that up. Bear with. And so, Wayne, hopefully your question will be answered in this section, and if not, we'll come back to it in a minute.
Thank you very much. So how do you get involved in the challenge? I am fully aware and appreciative that we are in the last possibly week or two of this term, and I know that time constraints are absolutely non-existent, I think. So basically, we have made it really, really easy for your school to get involved. Links are in the chats. However, you just need to go to readaloudchallenge.co.uk. That's the challenge website. And as you'll see, there is a register your school account there that you can click onto that. You just put in your school details and it will automatically create you your own unique web page with data and collateral to share with your pupils, students and their families. If you're looking at this as a parent, you can also register your child in this same area. Once you've logged in, you will, and signed up to the challenge, you will be able to go to My School. So once you are in the your account, this is where you've got all the collateral to share with those children and their parents and your whole school community. You're provided with your own personalised URL that is on the collateral to share, and the parents are able to just simply click that link to then register their child. Once they have registered their child using your personalised link, they are automatically linked to your school. So let's have a look at some of that collateral for you. As I say, it takes literally 2 minutes to sign up, and it is just a case of downloading some of this data and information to share across your school community. We've got pupil posters that you can pop up around the school, which you can see here. And then we have also got an assembly pack. So if you have time in the next week, maybe tomorrow if you've got an assembly in place, then you can simply download this assembly pack to share across your school community, get the children really excited about the challenge, tell them what Fonetti is, how they're going to earn certificates signed by Claire Balding for the different milestones that they're able to reach, how they can reach the leaderboards and compete against their peers, and also all children across the UK. So here's a slight information for you. It also shows them what the app's about. And what you mentioned, Wayne, earlier on with regards to hard parents, the app is 100% independent for the children. As Kim showed you earlier, the words change colour in real time. Therefore, the children don't need to rely on the parent to help them with a word that they're struggling with, because they're able to double tap that word and hear it back so that they can then practice it, to repeat it and make it green. So really makes it independent and helps the children get motivated. I just realised I'm not actually sharing that tab, so I do apologise. But you have the assembly pack here. Don't worry if you haven't got time to create a new assembly or add this in an existing assembly coming up. You can share this with the teachers, and the teachers can use this in the classrooms as well. We equally have parents' flyers that you can send home if you use Class Dojo or however you communicate with your families. You can simply share this PDF with them. As I mentioned before, it's got the QR code which will link them directly to your school when they sign up. It gives them some information about what Fonetti is and the advantages of how it does improve fluency, oracy, and build that boost confidence, around reading aloud. It really does build love for reading. We also have on here parent letters. So you, again, download the parent letter and you can share that out. And again, it's got all that detail that will automatically link the children to the school when the children or parents register for the challenge. We also have some social media graphics. So if you're using social media for your school, then please feel free to download any of the images to continue kind of engagement across your school's network. And if you do put anything on social, please do tag us. It's just hashtag Fonetti app, or Fonetti app, and also we're using the hashtag Be Proud Read Aloud. So please do incorporate those in any social so that we can like and comment and really help kind of get people excited in taking part in the challenge over the summer holidays. So the challenge did start on the 1st of July. That doesn't mean you're too late to get involved. We have schools starting the challenge now, and some are actually going to be starting it when they break up from school. So there is absolutely no reason why you can't get involved. It runs all the way through to the 31st of August. The reason we started at the beginning of July is to make sure that it's inclusive for Scotland and Northern Ireland, as well as Wales and England, which are due to break up in the next week or two. With regard to the leaderboards that Kim mentioned, I'm going to give you a sneak peek of where we're at now. So that is on the challenge website. You have the leaderboard section here, and you will be able to go onto the leaderboards. You can see the children that are already involved in the challenge. You can see how many points they've got. And again, down to kind of GDPR and everything, all we show is the child's first name and their first initial of their surname, and more information than that with regard to their name. We show their age and we show the region that the child's from, and that's all of the information that is given on the leaderboards for the children. Once the children on the leaderboard, they're signed up and linked to your school, they are competing for your school collectively. Together, they are all working towards getting your schools on the leaderboard. So the schools leaderboard is absolutely going wild already. You can see the name of the schools, you can see the area that the school's in, and you can see their points. And you'll see here we've got nearly 200 schools already on the leaderboards competing for the top regional space for their region. If you're part of a multi-academy trust or a local authority, you can have some really fun inter-MAP competition or intergroup competition. Simply click on the filter section. It's not coming up on my screen, but you'll get a drop-down menu and you can go to your specific
I think Vicky's Wi-Fi has just froze. Do you want to carry on, Kim?
Yeah, sure. I can
help move the. Oh no, I can't move the slides. Sorry, everyone. The wonders of technology. We'll be with you in a minute.
But Victoria is.
Are you back, Vicky?
Can you hear me?
Yes, yay! Well, we'll come back. We'll let you carry on.
Sorry about that. So I don't know where you got to, what you heard, so I may be repeating myself slightly, but as I mentioned, if you're part of a trust or a local authority, you can compete against each other as well as competing against all the schools across the UK. This particular multi-academy trust has got 10 schools in the trust. Already they've got 8 schools on the leaderboard, and they are able to compete against each other throughout the summer and have some real internal banter to kind of see what school is going to top it for their trust. Equally, at the end of the challenge, we will be announcing the top multi-academy trust and top local authority. They will also be invited to the awards ceremony on the 15th of January, where they'll be able to come along, collect their awards, and really engage in the challenge and the impact of the challenge with regards to how it motivates the children to read over the summer. Once you've registered, you will receive an email from noreply@readaloudchallenge.co.uk. If that doesn't hit your inbox straight away, it's worth checking your junk or your spam folders, just because it's the first time that we've reached out to you maybe. That will have your username and your password in there, which the password is automatically generated for you, and then you're able to go into your school collateral to start sharing with children and their families to get them involved. If you have any questions, please do reach out to us. I believe Lucy's going to share all of the details with you, but you can easily email through to support@fonetti.co.uk .com, and we've got a team there on hand to help you get up and running and get your children reading this summer. Thank you, Lucy.
That was fabulous. Thank you so much. Thank you, you two. I was just going to write that email address down. So what was it? support@fonetti.com.
Can I just add a couple of things, if I may?
Go ahead.
So one thing that is really important to know, and we've learned this over the last couple of years, I think that when you do anything like this, it's always you learn and then you kind of evolve, don't you? So when it comes to the scoring of the point system, we've got a really clever set of algorithms and everything work in the background. What we learned at the over the first challenge and the second challenge, that you'd have certain children that realised that to get to the top of the leaderboard, all you needed to do was to read loads and loads and loads of books. So you've got 8-9-year-olds reading the sort of 5-year-old the level 1 books, and they're getting lots and lots of read. And actually our scoring system doesn't work like that. And the way that it works is it takes into account what your reading ability is, because we understand what reading abilities are like. We take that and we can tell that if a child is then literally just reading more and more and more books, they don't get sort of penalised for it, but they just don't, it doesn't add to their scoring. And there are lots of clever things like that we've done to make sure that it's fair. So when you've got 5-year-olds competing with sort of 12, 14-year-olds, there is a fair way of doing that. Now, when it comes to dishing out the awards and for the individual children's prizes, I think they're grouped in sort of 3 to 5, sorry, Vicki will probably correct me, but I think we've got about 5 different age groups. So again, and when you're filtering, you can filter by age group as well, I think, can't you, Vicki? And
yes.
Therefore you can see, so you might not be the top of the leaderboard, but you might be the top of your age category or your region in the leaderboard. So it's very fair. What we're trying to do is we are rewarding engagement and we are rewarding improvement. And that's important. And also throughout the challenge, because I think Wayne, you asked earlier about how to really encourage parents to get their kids involved. It's always going to be a challenge, because you can say you can send everything out to the parents, but the reality is, if you talk to the children in the class and then they go home and they go, oh, this is really exciting, this is what we're doing, have you done it yet? That you'll find that works and helps quite a lot. Because, parents are busy, especially, if you've got parents that are not necessarily into books themselves or not really, that. So I think, it's really important. The more buzz you can have inside school, the more the children are going to go home and say, have you got the email, Mum? Have you got the email, Dad? And finally, the other thing I just wanted to add to what Vicki said about the MATs and the local authorities, it is really quite impactful. We've got quite a lot of MATs now that have got more than one school, got multiple schools in the challenge. And what they're doing is, a lot of them that we know of are actually doing their own awards at the end of the summer based on all of that. And if you have got a MAT involved, we can also provide MAT information at the end of it, but that's not something we give out unless we're asked for it. And the final thing is, the parents do get an email. So whenever a child hits a milestone, the parent will get an immediate email. So that will come out anytime. As soon as they hit the milestone, they get an email with a copy of the certificate on for them. So they're involved with the child's reading, but they also get a weekly back channel email that says, little Johnny, sorry about that, Jonathan, always little Johnny, isn't it? Little Johnny has read, 42 books. This is his favourite book, blah, blah, blah. So every week the parents are getting that to remind them. And I think the final thing is, in the school portal, you can see what children are participating, I believe, can't you, Victoria?
You
so teacher,
students,
you can see who are involved.
Yeah. When you go into when you go into the managed student section, you get a list of all the children that are participating, that have signed up, registered against your school. If the child isn't coming up, but they've said they've registered, then it just means that they haven't done that linking process. If they get in touch with us, we can do that for them, or the parent can do it on the websites. And then at the end of the challenge, Kim mentioned about the impact reports that we're able to share with the schools. We can give the school individual kind of their own specific leaderboards for the schools with data on each and every child, and we can just jump on a virtual call to give them that information in September.
I think one of our schools incentivises their children with pizza. They basically said the winning class, the winning group of kids all come for a pizza session.
Oh,
I mean, there's lots of ways. But listen, at the end of the day, however you encourage children to read, it's fine. You know, I think, obviously we all know about the last week the government announcing that 2026 is the year of reading. In our mind, every year is the year of reading. And I think that it's really important that, it's great that the government and a lot of the literacy trusts and everything are finally saying, let's all get together to encourage reading. But for us, as I say, it's always the year of reading because it is literally the basis for everything.
Oh, superb. You guys are amazing. Thank you so much for all you do to help encourage our children and young people to read and love reading and to enjoy reading, even when the schools are shut and it's the summer holiday. It's a fabulous challenge. If I was in school now, the first thing I would be doing is going to the website to register. And then I'd be downloading the assembly because I'd probably be doing that tomorrow. And I would make sure that I was all prepared for that. And then I'd be downloading the leaflet so that we could send that out to parents, probably via email. And that's the first thing I would do. So make sure that you are also following those steps. So go straight over to the website, register your school. It's free. Children are going to start learning to read over the summer holiday. What's not to love? So have a look. Definitely worth a look. And if you want to see what we think about the Read Aloud Challenge and Fonetti, you can head over to our website, headteacherchat.com. Oops, wrong one. headteacherchat.com, and you will be able to see exactly what we have looked at with Fonetti and what we think about it and how good they are and our approach to what they're all up to. So it's fabulous. Thank you so much for you guys taking part.
Thank you so much for having us. Thank you so much.
It's been an absolute pleasure. And thank you for all you do, you two. And if you've got any thank you. And if you've got any questions, please do remember to put them in the chat afterwards. Jonathan and I do check the questions underneath videos. So make sure you tag us and we'll spot it. And we can either answer them ourselves because we know quite a bit about the Read Aloud Challenge. We're very invested in helping children to read. So it's something we're passionate about. So we can probably answer them. And if we can't, we will definitely be in touch with the experts, Kim and Vicki. Thank you so much for joining us today, everybody. We hope that helped. Bye, everyone.
Thank you.